All right, welcome back everyone to Conversations Around the Table, where we talk about all aspects of life. We are wanting to have honest, real, transformative conversations, and we're excited to have you.
Yes.
So today we are going to talk about the power of our yes.
We are.
Yes.
Yes is a good word.
And what is that? So, when we think of the power of our yes, the Lord asks us at different seasons and different times to do something or to step into something. And there's power in saying yes. And so I want to start us off just to say this is kind of a fresh, now seasonal word for me, because I recently said a big yes to the Lord. It was probably just over a year ago, where the Lord started asking me and nudging me to run for school board. And I had never thought I would run for a political office ever. But as we were finding out what was going on in the schools, and with my husband teaching in the schools and seeing what's going on in California with education, and we were actually getting connected with a current school board member and different people, I just felt the Lord kind of put his finger on here and just on my heart and say, what about you? What if you ran? And sometimes, and for sure, in my situation, the Lord can ask you to do things that you thought you'd never do.
It's true. It's true.
And this was something, like I said, I thought I'd never do. And I was even like, Joanne's heard me say this so many times, do they let anyone run for school board? And apparently they do. And if you heard our first episode, you know this story a little bit, but it was a big deal to say yes. And it was a scary thing to say yes to, because with the political world, there is a lot of negativity. You can get torn down. You get attacked. Your character gets attacked. You're putting yourself in the spotlight. And there's enemies. There's real enemies. And so when the Lord was talking to me about it, and I would go to my husband and say, what if I ran for school board? He was like, are you out of your mind? And no, you're not doing that. And I said, but I think the Lord wants me to. Yeah. And so he said, all right, well, if he does, then he needs to make it clear. So we went on a journey of praying, and I had my friends praying, and he did. He made it clear, and he made it clear to Craig that it was a yes.
Which is so important.
It was really important. I needed him to have peace about it too, because how huge of a part did Craig play in the campaign, and even now, so I ran, I won. Long story short is I ran, I won, and now I'm sitting on the school board for Capistrano Unified School District, and it's really amazing, and I absolutely love it. And as it's unfolding, I'm realizing, oh wow, this is why God wanted me with my particular gifts, my particular abilities, what I carry, my experience, what I know. That's why he asked me to do it. I didn't know all of that when he asked me.
Right.
But now, and it's not to say, anything amazing about me. It's just how I'm put together that was for this time.
Nice.
So saying yes to the Lord when you don't know the whole story, or you don't know exactly what he's calling you into, it can be scary. Yeah. You're like, am I really hearing the Lord? Is this really what he wants?
Yeah.
So we're going to dive into that, and we want to hear all of us just kind of talk about times in our life where we've had to say yes. And there's power in our yes. Like, imagine if I said no, and I almost did say no. I thought somebody else was supposed to do it. And I had a brave friend come to me and say, it's not him, it's you. And so, let's dive into that, Heather. What are, I know you've had to say yes to a lot in your journey with your husband and your ministry and all the things.
Yeah, I think one of the things for me is to say yes, you have to learn what you need to say no to.
Wow. So good.
And I think there's power in your yes and there's power in your no. And oftentimes, you can say no out of fear or whatever it is, because we're insecure, or maybe we don't feel like we can do what God's asking us to do. Right. But I think there's power in learning what you need to say no to so that you can actually say yes to the things that God opens up for you.
Right.
Because oftentimes, I know through my own life, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this, is you have to sometimes say no to certain things so that you can say yes
Exactly.
in the new seasons, because new seasons open new doors, and you have to be able to learn to navigate no's and navigate your yeses so that you can walk in the fullness of what God's presenting to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have like an example of that? Like something that has happened where you saw that transition for yourself?
I'm trying to think. I'm like, I have so many of those.
know.
Okay, yeah. So we've been, we were in full-time vocational ministry for many, many years.
Right.
And there came a time when I felt like there was something more for me to step into. And I made a choice. Like, I had a dream. Like, one of the things that I love to ask people is, if time or money weren't an issue for you, what would you be doing?
Yeah.
And so one day I was just having quiet time with the Lord, and I heard him ask me the same question that I oftentimes ask others. If time or money weren't an issue for you, what would you be doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, Lord, like, you tricked me. What? Like, what are we doing here? And so I was like, wow. And so I had to like really think about it. And I was like, man, I've traveled, I've gone to a lot of countries, I've spent time with a lot of people, and like, I've done a lot of things up until this point in my life. And I was like right around my 40-year mark at that point. And I just thought, you know what? I have a dream in my heart to go to beauty school.
Wow.
And I'm like, beauty school? And I just kind of laughed. I was like, yeah, but maybe that's not what you're asking. But I was, at that point, I was like, no, that's something that I really want to do. And like, I've done it for years, and I wanted to do it professionally, and I wanted to be able to actually make money doing it.
Yeah.
And so,
I love this
like,
story.
I had to say no to doing full-time vocational, because it was shifting for us anyway, and I knew that our assignment was changing. That's something we'll talk more about later. But my assignment was changing for being full-time at a local church. And I knew that. I knew we were getting ready to move within a few years, because we had a timeline for our son graduating high school, and then at that point, that was like our yes to go somewhere else. So with all of that being said, I was just like, okay, Lord. And so I felt that permission, and for him to like, no, like, I care about the dreams of your heart.
Yes.
Like, I care that you want to go to beauty school. Like, and I was like, really? It's like you have these dreams and desires, and you're like, oh, I'm turning 40. Like, is that silly? Is that, but it was like, no, they're like, now I see, because of what I'm stepping into now, how all of these pieces of my life had come together. In that season of our lives, like, I felt like I was just saying, Heather, I want you to step into some of the dreams that you have.
Yeah.
And what does that look like for you? And it's like, okay, you're going to have to say no to this for a little while so that you can say yes to this. So I think that's...
You know what I love and I love this about the Lord, is that He asked you the question to pull out a desire that you had in your heart, which actually came from Him, because He puts desires in our heart that align with what we're gifted with and gifted to do. But isn't he like that? Like he's like, well, Heather, if time and money wasn't an issue, what would you really want to do? Instead of it being like, I am calling you to
Blah, blah, blah.
yeah, like beauty school, which doesn't sound like something the Lord would call us to, which is another issue in itself, right?
Yeah.
But that He used a conversation and intimacy with you to pull out a desire for you to do something that I think He actually wanted you to do, to use you in that space and to raise women up in that area, right? So I love how He does that. Isn't that amazing?
It's so true. Yeah. And I was just thinking about how when He speaks to us in those ways, it's an invitation. Like, He's inviting us into more.
Yeah.
For us, really, like, because we're, to do this together. It's a partnership. It's a relationship. So when He speaks to us, we have an invitation for the more that He has for us.
Yeah.
And we can be so limiting in our own, like you said, like, I'm this age, like, should I really be doing this at this age?
Yeah.
We tend to look at age or things in our life to think, oh, I'm disqualified, or that counts me out for this yes. But actually He's saying, no, like, there's bigger things I have for you. There's not bigger, but more that I have for you. And I want the fullness of everything that's in your heart to come alive, because that's when we're most effective, when we're walking in those places of, strength and aliveness in Him. And we're literally stepping into dreams, and it allows, and I love, what I love about this is because I feel like when I see people do that, it gives me courage to do it. Right. I'm like, oh my goodness, she's doing that, or he's doing that at this age, or they're stepping into something different. Like, oh, I can do that too.
Yeah.
Because we can be limiting, we can just, our mindsets can be limiting. We can just, you're out of the game now because of this or that, or, so it's nice. It's nice to have those moments. And really the yes is huge. He agreed. When we say yes, I feel like he's like, okay, let's go. And it's a scary place. It's risky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said something about like it gives me the courage to step into maybe the dreams that, I have for myself. And so in that season, the Lord was using me going back to school to, like, I had teenagers at home and they were, it's teenage years and it's like all over the place. And but by me stepping into a dream in my heart, I was modeling something for them.
Right.
I was modeling that, you know what, it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter what's in your heart and what's been in your heart for years.
Right.
Like, if God is in something, like the door is going to open, you're going to be able to step into it. Like, it doesn't matter the time, the play, like all the things. And so it actually gave them a window of opportunity to step into some things that they were wanting to step into. And I think that's for any of us, right? Like we, the power of our yes, it's not just for us.
Yeah,
exactly.
It oftentimes is for other people too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Always.
So good.
I always look at it like there's two roads when the Lord is inviting us into something, like you said, Joanne. There's like two roads. There's like a killing field. And then there's like this beauty and dynamic exchange between our yes and the Lord, and that we get to learn a different facet of who He is, because we're a reflection of Him. And so often I feel like when we give our yes, there's other things that have to die in us. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't like getting killed.
No.
And there's always this like new dynamic that we get to experience about who we are and what's inside and what He wants us to release and grow in and mature in and develop our character and who He is in our lives. And so I think there's just always this like dual road of the killing lane and the yes lane. And they all somehow merge together in this beautiful story. I feel like I saw that with you, Jeff, just even in your yes, like there were things that you had to say no to that you're like, but I want to do that.
Yeah.
But you couldn't, and then there's this like, I think whenever we say yes to something, there's this deep insecurity inside of us that we might not even know is there, that He's like, I'm going to touch that because that's not really who you are. And I'm going to develop this in you. And I just think there's just like this beautiful exchange that happens when we say yes.
Well, and when we say yes to an assignment that the Lord is asking us to step into, He has like, what you just said, He has multiple reasons for it. It's what Heather's talking about too. Like, it's not just for us, it's for other people. It's not just for the assignment, but what He wants to build inside of each of us. And so,
and it's usually for the next season. Because we, the word says we live in seasons and times and seasons. And so usually I found in my own life, and I'm sure you guys would agree, that anything I've done, like if you look at the threads of your life in your seasons, it all builds into the next season or the next assignment. And so we actually, that process that we're going through is to strengthen us to hold what the next assignment and season will bring. And so, and I love too, Jeff, about your story is that you didn't know the outcome. Like the yes when you don't know the outcome. And even for you, Heather, like, am I going to pass? Am I going to, be able to do this? Am I going to feel like I can actually build a business with this certification and this training? And for you, am I going to actually win that seat? And for different things that we've experienced. But I love it because I remember reading this book called The Red Sea Rules. And it was like my husband and I were going through, just a hard time seasonally and just I read this, somebody gave me this book, my mother-in-law actually gave me this book. And one of the things that he said in one of the chapters was that the Red Sea actually parted as they walked.
Wow.
So they've like scientifically studied how that happened, the miracle of the water parting. And
good.
that always has stayed with me and just been so profound to me. Like it didn't happen all at once. They had to actually trust the what God was telling them and step in. You know, it's like that act of faith and risk, and then watch God move and start to move things out of the way so that they could continue to walk in the fullness of this season, this assignment. But it's not always where you're like,
true.
I know the end of the story. We don't know. Sometimes we're just having to say yes.
Usually we don't know.
At the edge of the unknown, right?
Yeah. And I love that. That's exactly what I went through, because I had to raise $75,000.
I know you're like, how am I going to do this?
How am I going to do that? I only know 5 people. Like, I don't know. I've never been a fundraiser before. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do all of this? How am I? And it was literally just like, take the next step, do the work, oh, here's a phone call. Oh, okay, go there. And it unfolds and it opens as you go. Yeah. And there's so much.
And there was a strength and resolve, I think, in you as you went. And I'm sure we have all experienced that too, that as we go, like the strength and resolve and the season assignment or the yes gets stronger and stronger because we see the Lord moving.
And then election night, when I'm sitting there going, am I going to lose? And they're like, you're not losing. And it was intense, right? But I won. And so.
Well, I want to add this really quick, because I think this is just really powerful. Like, when you were walking through that season, I remember you saying multiple times, like, if I don't win, and you weren't saying it as a declaration, you were saying it as, like, not the if I don't win part. The declaration was, I have a wonderful, beautiful life with my husband and my family.
Yeah.
So you were secure in that, and you rested in that space. Like, you didn't need this win for your identity. Right. I mean, you're competitive and you wanted to win. That's not what it was about. I witnessed that firsthand. Did you get the numbers right? Are you serious? Like, but seriously though, like, I think as we grow older, when the Lord challenges us to something new, and we say yes to Him, it's not even about us.
So true.
It's just not even about us. And that was very evident, like in the whole season of you running and doing the meet and greets and all of that. Like, you always rested in this space that you are secure in knowing who you are and who your husband is, your children, and you rested in that space.
Yeah.
And then you could literally you weren't launching from a place of insecurity. You were launching from a place of depth and strength, which is what you and your husband have developed in your life. And so, and I think there's beauty in that. I mean, I know there's beauty in that, and that's when the Lord says, I can use that. I can work with that because the posture of the heart is correct.
Yeah. And I think too, it's a matter of faith, right? Like when God's inviting you into a place of a yes, there's like, we get to partner with the Lord with faith.
Right.
And faith is the substance of things hoped for.
Yeah.
So it's like we can hope for something, the evidence of things not seen.
Yeah.
So it's like we may not see it. Like most of the time we don't see it. Like we're stepping out, like you were saying, crossing the Red Sea. They had to step out and, take that first step. And oftentimes, like, that's where fear keeps you back from saying yes and taking those risks into the unknown because it's unknown.
Yeah.
Right.
But then when we partner with the Lord, He's just so for us. And if He's for us, then who can be against us, right?
Regardless.
So it's like, regardless. Yeah. So it's like our yes. And now look, I mean, you're stepping into that place, Jeff. Like God is moving. You're seeing there's transformation that's starting to happen, like because you chose to step into your yes. And how many of us know, like when you say yes and you're seeing things shift, whether it be with family or relationships or friendships, like and communities and work, like whatever it is that God's inviting us into, like there is promise on the other side, because he wouldn't invite us into something bad.
Absolutely. And I want to say too that what I love, and I think that I know, like I said, I've been inspired by, is that I feel like your yes too inspired other people and men and women to say, oh gosh, I could run for whatever, city council. I can make a difference. I can, it actually, again, it's just that place of our yes actually speaks something about to other people who maybe have not felt the courage to step in. And I just wanted to highlight that again, because I feel like your story is a familiar story. I'm hearing more and more about, like, people just thinking, me? Like, you want me to do this? Like, who am I? Like, Moses, who am I? Like, I'm not the person to go speak. But he's like, no, you are. You are. And if you say yes to me, I will have your back. If you say yes to me, I will go before you. I will resource you like he did for you with people, partners, finances, everything that we need. It's just, we have to actually initiate the yes and step in faith and do something about what we said yes about, like what we said yes to God about. So, yeah.
So good. So good. I love it. And I love that all of us, whether we're running for office, whether we're starting and launching a new business, a new ministry, a new career. Hey, you are never too old to go back to school and learn something new. Could we just decide, like we're just declaring that. You're never too old to go into something else. And the Lord cares about your dreams because he put them there. And so again, we just love that. I love it. You girls. I love you girls. I love you. So we just want to encourage you, if the Lord is putting something on your heart, talk to him about it. Get in the quiet place with him. What is he wanting you to do? All of us are gifted uniquely for such a time as this to come into the plans and purposes of God. So we want to encourage you with that today. Thank you, girls. Good. So fun. What a great conversation. Hey, we're just so grateful you're here. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like on your YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.
Right. See you then.